When my wife confessed her affair, it was not in tears or regret, but with an arrogant shrug. We were sitting in the living room, and she looked at me casually, saying, "I cheated with my boss, so what?" For a moment, I froze, unsure if I had heard her correctly. The nonchalance in her voice hit me harder than the confession itself. She didn't flinch, didn't apologize, and didn't even try to soften the blow. She simply leaned back, as if daring me to react. Inside, I felt an explosion of emotions: anger, betrayal, humiliation, but on the surface, I kept myself calm. I didn't shout or demand answers. I just stared at her, letting her words settle like a knife in my chest. She probably expected me to explode or beg, but I refused to give her that satisfaction. My silence was the only power I had in that moment, and I wasn't going to waste it. She smirked, clearly mistaking my calm for weakness. "Look, it just happened," she continued, as if she was explaining something as simple as being late to work. "It doesn't mean I don't care about you. But he's successful, charming, and honestly, he gives me what I want." Each word chipped away at the life I thought we had built together. Memories of late nights, sacrifices, and the years I devoted to making our marriage work flooded my mind. I thought of how I supported her when she was struggling in her career, how I encouraged her dreams, and how I worked extra hours just to give her comfort. All of that now seemed worthless in her eyes compared to the shallow thrill of an affair with her boss. Still, I stayed silent. I watched her carefully, observing every smug expression, every careless gesture. My quietness began to unsettle her. She expected a fight, but instead, she got nothing. After a few minutes, her tone shifted from arrogance to irritation. "Why aren't you saying anything? Don't you care?" she snapped. I cared more than she could ever know, but I had already decided I would not waste my words on her. She had crossed a line that couldn't be erased. I knew, at that moment, our marriage was over. What she didn't know was that I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. If she wanted to be so casual about destroying our vows, I would be just as calm about dismantling everything she thought she had gained. That night, while she slept peacefully beside me as if nothing had happened, I sat in the dark making my plans. I gathered financial documents, legal papers, and all the evidence I needed. I contacted a lawyer the next morning, making sure every detail was handled with precision. I wasn't going to scream or beg. My revenge would be clean, quiet, and final. Days passed, and I played the role of a calm husband, letting her believe I had accepted her betrayal. She went on with her life, smiling, texting her boss when she thought I wasn't watching. I let her live in that illusion while I carefully pulled the rug from under her feet. She had no idea the house, the savings, and even the car were all in my name. When the divorce papers were finally served, her arrogant mask shattered. She screamed, cried, and asked how I could do this without even talking to her. I looked at her the same way I did that night in the living room, silent, cold, unbothered. Her boss didn't want her once the scandal became public, and she lost both her marriage and her career in one blow. She tried to call me heartless, claiming I should have at least forgiven her once. But forgiveness is for mistakes, not deliberate betrayal. She didn't just cheat, she disrespected me, mocked me, and assumed I would stay no matter what. That was her biggest miscalculation. I walked away from her without regret, taking my peace with me. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her arrogance. My silence that night had been the beginning of her downfall. Sometimes, the loudest answer is no answer at all. And as I rebuilt my life, I carried one lesson with me. Never argue with someone who has already shown you how little you mean to them. Let silence be the reply, and let their own choices destroy them. That was the justice my wife never saw coming.